Hey guys, what's poppin'? Welcome back to Football Yannick. I want to talk about some transfer stuff here. Victor Gyökeres to Arsenal. Will it happen? Will it not happen? What's going on with these negotiations? It's very dramatic. He's refused to ever play for the club again. He's not turning up to training. It's got hella ugly. You hear from some journalists saying it's going to get done. It's nearly done. It's just, an agent fee now or something. And then, Sporting, a Portuguese publication, Record, we're talking about Sporting as the club, Record in Portugal, which is, of course, Portuguese, suggesting otherwise. And Alejandro Garnacho, where is he going? He's turned down a deal to join Al Nassr, where, of course, his idol, Cristiano Ronaldo, plays over in the Saudi Pro League, and he wants to stay in the Premier League, says Romano. Very, very dramatic. We're going to react to these big stories today, so welcome back. How you doing? Good? That's great. Bad? Very sorry. Yes, daily content here on Football Yannick, so if you are interested in my commentary on football, yeah, man, please do consider liking and subscribing. That's very, very kind of you. Just to check, where are we on subscribers? 18,651. Nice. Road to 19,000, and of course, road to 20,000, which would be great. Wouldn't it be great? Hey, this passion project of mine here it's like ironically, football therapy is my main channel, but this is kind of like my therapy, getting just to wash off a little bit of my club off me and just sort of recalibrate, talk about other football before I dive back into Chelsea. Sometimes it's nice to have a little palate cleanser, and that's what this channel is for me. So thank you for your continued support. We'll talk about Garnacho in just a second, but Record, the Portuguese publication, is saying today, maybe an hour ago at time of recording on Sunday morning, Arsenal have made no progress in negotiations with Sporting over Gyokeres at this stage. Expectations remain far from optimistic. The North Londoners are yet to open new negotiations following 2 failed attempts to sign the Swede. This is, of course, coming from Portugal. There are other people suggesting that talks are ongoing. Sami Mokbel from BBC, and he's not the male anymore with the BBC. So there's conflicting reports from different countries, England and Portugal. I must say, bro, this is a fascinating story. I found the whole transfer saga of Victor Gyökeres fascinating to begin with because he scored the most goals in Europe. It's not in a top 5 league, and maybe that's why people didn't take it as seriously, but he still scored Champions League goals. He's still scoring international goals for his country. He has played in English football before in the Championship. He is how old is he? Is he 27, 28? Because I find it fascinating how not more clubs went in for him. So he's 27. He's 27. He turned 27 last month. So he'll be 27 for the entirety of this upcoming campaign. So, you get good 3 years, you'd hope, out of him as a striker. But like I said, he scored lots of goals. I just wondered, why loads of clubs weren't properly in for him. Chelsea, of course, really needed a striker. Now we've got Delap and, Joao Pedro on top of Jackson. Chelsea might sell Jackson. We'll see what happens there. But there's options now. But, of course, Chelsea spent a long time negotiating deep into the night last summer to try and sign Victor Osimhen, and they were, bending their own financial rules. They were potentially going to go in for him again before they thought they were covered with these new young strikers. They never really looked at Gyokeres. I think Man United would have done, but I think that's predominantly down to the links with Amorim. But yeah, it doesn't feel like there's loads of... there's also other big clubs in Europe. Why has there not been a big fight for Victor Gyökeres? But of course, Arsenal in for him really, really seriously, probably predominantly because of Berta, the new sporting director, is a big fan of his, and he's come in to support Mikel Arteta. We knew Mikel Arteta dreamt of Alexander Isak. Yeah, who hasn't? It's not financially viable. But also, similarly, as a sort of similar 9 profile, Benjamin Sesko, much younger, of course, than Gyokeres as well. But he would, I think it'd be too expensive. But then what's going on here with Victor Gyökeres? The deal's breaking down probably due to finances. Like I said, there's lots of noise lots of briefings, agents, clubs, a player, do you know what I mean, saying one thing, and everyone's sort of saying, when this is over, I'll talk, and it's very dramatic, you know, suggestions that it's an agent fee that's blocking the way, and then of course you've got the sporting director of sporting saying things like, you know, yeah, it's fine, we'll just carry on with him, and, you know, it will just give him a hefty fine for not reporting back, you know, and reintegrate him into the group, yada, 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 and we'll get on with it, like, go away, Arsenal. I think Arsenal are kind of hoping that his position, the player that is, just kicks up such a stink, such a fuss, that there's no other way than to bend to Arsenal's demands, which is pretty dramatic. And I must say, dude, it doesn't come across good from the player. Yes, you may have had a gentleman's agreement to be sold for a certain amount this summer, and that might have not have been, you know, honoured. It's a risky thing. Like, Chelsea have sold Georgi Petrovic to Bournemouth from a gentleman's agreement that was, you know, upheld by Chelsea, £25 million, a handsome profit on him. But it's still risky to trust your club. You know, it's up to you. You either have it in ink on paper, or you run the risk of this happening personally. I get it. He wants to move. You know, Amorim's gone. He's 27. This is his chance to get the big 5-year deal for a lot of money in the Premier League. So I understand his, like, you know, absolute. And I think he's willing to pay 2 million of his own wages or something like that, of his own money to get the deal done. He really desperately wants it. But regardless, it's not looking good. This whole, whenever a player goes on strike and refuses to turn up to their employer, the optics aren't good, is it? It's like when Thibaut Courtois did it to Chelsea to go to Real Madrid. It looks pretty bad. It's not a good look. And the whole story has got a lot of toxicity around it now. I'm sure that if he gets done, they'll be getting a good player and he'll settle, and, you know, he'll be a good citizen at Arsenal. But you're hearing loads of conflicting things. I saw some stuff like people are hoping that he doesn't turn up and doesn't play, and just literally doesn't play, so Sporting can terminate his contract. But if they terminate his contract, they're losing a £60 million asset, so they're not going to do that. And obviously they could just take him to court, and this could be really long, drawn out legal proceedings. If I'm going to guess here, speculate, but if a transfer isn't done, he'll continue to play for Sporting. He'll probably miss the first 3 or 4 games. He'll have meetings. He'll speak to his squad. He'll, you know, yada, yada, yada. And he'll start playing football again because he loves scoring goals and will want to, you know, stay sharp for his country as well. Because, you know, Sweden have got another great striker, a better striker in Isak. Like, you know, I know they play both of them, but he needs to keep playing football. So it's just so dramatic, man. Very interesting. I'm fascinated to see how this, you know, ends up. Let me know your thoughts on that, and let's speak about Alejandro Garnacho. So Fabrizio Romano posted on X this morning. Alejandro Garnacho's plan remains clear. He wants to continue in the Premier League this summer. His chapter at Manchester United is closed. It's closed, but he wants to stay in the Premier League. Wild. So look, he could have gone to Al Nassr. I don't think he would have wanted to forego, you know, the sporting integrity of his career so early. But the fact how he loves Cristiano, and Cristiano's there, I thought, oh, maybe. And then, you know, how about, you know, play with Cristiano Ronaldo and get paid £400,000 a week tax-free? That might tempt him. But he's 20 years old. He's 20, bro. Garnacho's been around for so long. It feels like he should be like 24, maybe. But he's 20. How is he 20? He's got the Callum Hudson-Odoi disease, where he just stays young forever. Yeah. Incredible. Look, staying in Europe's fine, but staying in the Premier League, bro. We know Chelsea's interested, and we know Chelsea have just sold Noni Madueke to Arsenal, who was like a rotational option on the left. Is Chelsea going to sign Alejandro Garnacho? I mean, look, maybe Chelsea do if it's an amazing deal. Like, there'll be no issues of wages. I don't think he's on high wages at United, considering his, like, you know, when he's coming to the team and stuff. But, you know, they think they want 70 million quid for him. Chelsea Football Club aren't paying 70 million quid for Garnacho. So let's just say he's available for 40 million plus 10 million add-ons or so. Let's say the same money as Noni Madueke, whatever that went for. He's 52 million package. Let's just translate that into Alejandro Garnacho. Who's buying him? Well, we know Chelsea has long-term interest, and suddenly we're light on the left-hand side. Speaking as a Chelsea fan now. But other than that, I mean, I have no idea. He won't go to Liverpool. Obviously, they had the tragic loss of Jota, but I think, you know, they're going to keep Diaz, who Barcelona are looking at. He wouldn't go to Liverpool anyway due to the rivalry, like you'd think. I mean, Aston Villa have got money again. Now they've sold the women's team, and do they want it? Like, it's really hard to make a case for him staying in the Premier League unless his wages remains low, and he goes for a cheap transfer fee. Then maybe, you know, the ever developing Premier League middle class can come in for him. You know, it is fascinating. I must say, from a Chelsea centric position, I am worried because not only does he, I think he'd want the Chelsea move. Our vice captain is a friend of his, Enzo Fernandez. Of course, they're both Argentinian internationals, and I think he likes to live staying in London. Probably, and this is speculative here, but the thing with the thing with Chelsea, it is an exciting project for young players, because they're all around his age and they're all on long contracts, and they're going to develop together. And no matter what happens tonight at time of recording in the Club World Cup, reaching the Club World Cup, you know, winning the Conference League, getting top 4, they're trending in a good direction, and people are starting to take Chelsea more and more seriously. So he probably will see that alluring. I do worry. I think he's really, really raw as a player. I think he's got an attitude problem. Personally, I do think that. He is only 20 years old, so maybe you think, okay, fine, like, you know, maybe he'll grow up a little bit, and, you know, I don't know, man. But where's he gonna go, dude? Anyway, let me know your thoughts. Comment down below. Where do you think what do you think's gonna happen with Victor Gyökeres, and what do you think's gonna happen with Alejandro Garnacho? Comment down below. Thank you as always for supporting the content, for liking and subscribing, and yeah, man, I hope to see you back here soon. Peace.